Hey guys, Karen here for The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 14, Twice as Far, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode. Really been loving this season, as you guys know, and we only had 3 episodes left, and I was definitely looking forward to seeing what this episode would be like. And if it were to top, last week's episode tension, which that episode was full of crazy tension, and this episode started off pretty low-key, but then got really crazy toward the end, and there were some amazing scenes in this episode. This was in no way the best episode of the season. Honestly, I think this episode was kind of scattered at points, but I definitely really did like the episode. I like the way that was done, and let's just get into it because, like I said, I really enjoyed it. There's only 2 episodes left after the season. You can definitely tell that it's about to get crazy, and it's definitely getting worse than it's going to get better. But I like the way this episode starts because we pretty much see everyone's kind of like daily routine and what their jobs are, is kind of reiterating what they're doing. We see Olivia in the pantry, Morgan practicing with his staff, Eugene taking over a shift on guard duty, Carol smoking and looking at the rosary beads because, she needs these. She needs these. You can tell she's not over what happened with the saviors and everything like that. She's not over it, and she knows that they're dangerous, and she really is thinking about it. It really has changed her a lot. Later, Morgan puts the last block into the prison cell that he's built, which this is something we didn't know. Morgan's built a whole prison cell to put, I guess, corrupt, people that they don't trust in, and Rick comes to see what he's up to. He asks why he's done that, because, obviously, Rick didn't tell him to do this. Morgan just voluntarily decided to do it, which is honestly pretty funny, but also goes with his character, because, again, Morgan won't kill, but he will bring people to justice, and they really did show that here. But Morgan says they'll give him some choices next time, really what he wants to do. If they find someone they don't like, they can capture them in this prison, and then Rick will decide if they want to kill them or not. So later, Olivia's in the pantry. It's another day like the others. Gabriel walks, Eugene takes the guard shift, Sasha looks down from her perch, and Morgan practices with his staff. And Tobin then kisses Carol, then heads off the porch to do some work. And I completely forgot these two were together, I have to say. Mainly because we haven't seen a lot of scenes with them, but you can also tell how kind of insignificant this is to Carol. Like, while I think she really cares about Tobin, at this point, she's very affected by what happened with the Saviors, and she sits smoking, looking at her rosary beads. Rosita gets dressed looking sad, shakes her head. She was in bed with Spencer. Daryl works on his motorcycle. He finds a little toy soldier in the pack under the seat. And of course, we know that Abraham left Rosita and everything that happened there, and now she is Spencer, it seems, who I gotta say is the most underdeveloped character we have had all season. Literally, Spencer, I don't even think is a character at this point. He literally is just a prop. He is the last person left in the original family that was there, and besides Aaron, of course, and besides him, the other ones are being used very well. Like, Denise and Aaron are being used very well, but Spencer really hasn't had much to do since, since his mother died, which is kind of sad because I feel like they could be doing more with his character and they're not. But whatever, it's fine. I don't need them to do, they don't have to do everything with every single character. But Daryl works on his, it's kind of sad because I feel like they could have done more there. But Daryl works on his motorcycle. He finds a little toy soldier in the pack under the seat. He sits beside Carol when she comes over, asks her for a smoke. He lights up, and we haven't seen a lot of scenes between these two in a while, but it really shows how great these two work together. We've known this before, but they really showed again that Daryl and Carol have some great scenes. He lights up. She asks him about the people in the burnt forest that took his bike, because that's really how this all started. I think Daryl's realizing that he's really the reason for all this. If you remember, he burnt, he's lit, those people were lit on fire, and obviously, they were part of the Saviors, and she asks if he saved them, and he says he should have killed them. He didn't kill them, but he should have, and Carol looks like she's in a crisis of conscience, and she leaves the smokes. He asks about what the ones who took them did to her and Maggie. She says nothing, and it's implied that they were the ones who did the doing, and of course, that's what we're thinking, that she does not want to tell anyone what happened because she doesn't want to relive it. That's what I'm thinking, that's why she doesn't want to tell anyone. Another day, the same rhythm, Carol sits smoking again, and you really see she's just stuck in this complete routine of just her smoking over and over, trying to get over what happened, which was very effective, and I like the way that was done. And Carol does get some good stuff in this episode, but after this, she's not focused on as much. The episode mainly focuses on Daryl, Denise, Abraham, and a bunch of people that leave Alexandria for that. So Eugene and Abraham leave Alexandria walking, and basically, Denise and another guy stare at as a Walker impale on the pike. Spencer talks to Rosita about dinner, but she's non-committal, and he asks what they're doing, and she says that dinner's fine, which I like that he asked straight out, what are we? What's going on here? Because it seems like all of a sudden they're just sleeping together, but it seems like she doesn't really want any emotional attachments, even though she's saying dinner's fine. In her mind, she's really thinking, I don't want to end up like Abraham. I want a guy that really is going to respect me, and she doesn't know if Spencer really wants to do that. It's clear that Spencer does want a relationship, but we don't really know if she does. I mean, I think going through her head is that she wants to have a good relationship, but after what just happened with, Abraham, she doesn't really know if she can stay in a committed relationship right now. So Denise is there, but she says she didn't hear anything. Denise asks if they can do something and shows her a map. She talks to Daryl about it as well. She says it's in apothecary in a strip mall, and they could have drugs, and she says she wants to check, and obviously she needs these drugs because she's the live-in doctor, and I think they really did a good job with Denise in this episode. I mean, Denise has been a bit underutilized since she's been introduced, but this is by far the most focus she's had in a while. Denise insists she wants to go and help. Daryl asks how much time she spent out there, and so she says none. Denise says she'll go alone if she has to. Daryl says she'll die alone. Rosita says she won't babysit her alone, and they're going to help her because obviously she wants to get involved, so might as well help her even though they don't really want to. They take off in a truck that drives terribly. I mean, it doesn't really drive well at all. Denise tries to explain why the gears are grinding. She says she drove a stick since she was 15. He grinds them a bit more on purpose. Rosita calls his attention to a tree blocking the road, and they tell Denise to stay put while they check it out because they know there's a reason, obviously, why the tree is blocking the road. It's not just a coincidence. There has to be a genuine reason as to why this tree is blocking it. And Denise looks around. Walkers are growling nearby. Denise looks like she might cry. A walker's trapped under. Rosita says it looks like it was just a rotted tree, not human sabotage. And they're pretty sure that they're fine. Like, this isn't something to worry about, but they're not so sure. It could be something bad. And Rosita then kills the walker, takes its backpack. She tells Denise she can get out and says the guy had bottles of booze. Denise says no thanks, her parents were drunks, and it was I like that we found that out. It was just something that was interesting to see. There's a reason why Denise doesn't drink. Her parents were drunks, and obviously they probably died because of it, we are to assume, which was very interesting. Daryl refused to watch the direct route down the railroad tracks, even though the other way is longer, and we're kind of have to wonder, is Daryl having Terminus flashbacks? Because that's what's going on. I mean, remember the direct route and everything, so is he having Terminus flashbacks? It's kind of what it seems like he's having here. Denise then walks off after Daryl, but Rosita splits off and heads down the tracks. Eugene and Abraham walk in the rain talking. Eugene has changed up his hair, and Abraham says he's got some swagger. That he changed it all up, basically because he doesn't want to be something he's not, and I like that. I like that Eugene changed things up. He's, no longer being who he said he was, and he's being himself, which I like. So Abraham asks what that's about. Eugene says, with any other RPG, you have to be shaped by the environment so that you can shape that environment. He says he's adapting to survive, and that's really what it's about. He changed his hair because he wants to survive, and Abraham says, keep telling yourself that. Eugene insists that he's adapted, but Abraham's not so sure. Abraham feels that he's still stuck, and Denise and Daryl then cross past Rosita, who's weighing on them. Denise says she didn't mean to pick Daryl over her. Rosita says she's holding the machete run. She asks who taught Rosita to fight. Then she realizes it was Abraham. Rosita doesn't want to talk about it, and because, she really wants nothing to do with Abraham at this point. We know what happened between them. We know the fallout. And at this point, she doesn't really want to talk about him because she's really upset with him, obviously. So they approach the strip center, see the apothecary shop. Daryl knocks at the doors. He tells Denise to stay put. He pulls out a crossbow, pries the door open. Eugene picks a lock. He and Abraham go inside their target. It's a metal shop, and Abraham asks why they're there. Eugene looks around and says they're going to make bullets. He says he's been thinking about Hilltop having no ammo and theirs going down. And he says the bullets are now the currency of the land, and Abraham asks if he can do it, and Eugene says the place needs scrubbed, and they need leads, but he thinks that he can do it, that they shouldn't have a problem with this. So Abraham says that's fine outside the box thing, and asks where they start. Eugene says they need to talk to Rick and figure out the ammo they need to make, and that Rick's the one that will help them with this. So there's a walker. Eugene calls dibs on it. He tries to kill it, but it has molten metal on it, and he struggles with it, and Abraham finally kills it, and Eugene is angry, and I like that Eugene is trying to kill. We know for a while he struggled with killing. He didn't want to kill, but now it seems like he is trying to kill, and he's trying to make up for that by killing, but it seems like they don't really want him to kill it. It seems like they kind of want to do it on their own. Eugene's angry, says he had dibs and he was going to kill it. Abraham says that he had a better chance of picking up a turd by the clean end, which I thought was very funny, Abraham's line, but at the same time, it really shows that he says Eugene's skill set is using his brain. He's not someone that kills. It's always been Abraham does the killing, Eugene does the talking. That's really how it is, and Eugene Eugene doesn't want it that way. Eugene wants to be, he wants to do more. He wants to kill, and he wants to be just like them. He doesn't just want to be a guy that's smart. That's not what he wants, because skills do get you to survive in this world, but he really wants to kill. And Eugene gets mad, says Abraham outlived his usefulness to him. Abraham walks out, says he's going home since his services are no longer required. He tells him, find your own way back, asshole, and it's a really effective scene. I like the way this was done. Inside the apothecary, the smell is awful. They proceed with caution. Denise sees photos of kids at the counter. Rosita points out the pharmacy. They wrestle up the metal divider. They see medication inside. Daryl and Rosita tell her that they're just going to take it all because they need it. They need as much as they can. They're probably not going to be able to come here again, so they might as well just take it all. So they hear a bumping sound. Rosita says it's just one. Daryl says it sounds like a stub. Denise looks at where the noise is coming from. She creeps closer with a machete out. She opens the door, shines a light. She sees a playpen and then spots it on the floor. And it's a Walker with a leg still in the cast. And on the wall is scrawled, hush, hush, hush. And she sees what looks like a vat of bloody goo with a baby shoe in it. And we don't know what that's about, but very creepy, honestly. Denise runs out of the room, horrified, obviously, by what she's seeing. She goes to sit outside. There are bloody handprints on the outside, and we are to assume that the kid was crying and the parent had to drown them to stop it, and she sits crying, staring at a dentist keychain she took from the rack. Daryl and Rosita come out, and she says she did good finding the place. She stands when Rosita tells her she wasn't ready. Denise says that she knows. Daryl asks if her brother's older or younger. She says Dennis was 6 months older, and her parents thought it was funny to name them Dennis and Denise, and she says that her brother was brave and angry, and he says his brother was like that too. And we haven't heard a lot about Daryl's brother in a while, but we know that Daryl's brother obviously was an antagonist and that he was very erratic, and it seems like Denise's brother was very much the same way. But you do see that she does have kind of an emotional attachment to him because he is her brother, and I like the way this scene was done. Even though she knew he was a bad guy, or maybe not a bad guy, but still very, erratic and things like that, she still cared about him, and she still does love him because he is her brother. So they come back to the railroad tracks. This time Daryl says they can go this way. Denise smiles. They walk down the tracks. Cars are piled up, wrecked off to one side and woods on the other. Denise looks at a car, steps off the tracks to get closer. They look in the window and see a cooler. A Walker slams itself against the window. She wants to go after the cooler, but they tell her it's not worth the trouble. They tell her, come on. Denise doesn't listen. She goes to the other side of the car and she pulls out her machete because she wants to do things the way she wants to do it. I mean, they're doing this mission all for her, so she's going to do things the way she wants to, and she's not going to listen to them. So, which probably is her biggest mistake. We'll get into why, though. So she opens the door, grabs the cooler, but the Walker's attached to it. It comes out on top of her. She tries to fight off. She flips it over, tells them no when they run over. She takes it out. She puts her knife back in her sheath, then vomits. And obviously, this is the first time she's killed. So it's very hard for her to do this. And I'm sure she's killed before, but just doing this was very hard for her to do. She says she threw up on her glasses. She checks the cooler, and inside's a 6-pack of soda. She says, hot damn, and Daryl's upset at her, says she could have died. Denise says that they could have died killing the saviors and says you want to live, you have to take chances. And that's just how it is. They have to do that. And he says you did that for a couple of damn sodas, and she says no, just this one, and shoves it in her bag. Rosita calls her stupid. Denise says this was important to her. She says she is training in this and it isn't making up as she goes along. She says she asked Daryl because he's brave like her brother, and Rosita's all alone for the first time in her life, but gives her hope. And she says she could have gone with Tara and told her she loved her, but didn't because she's afraid and says it's stupid. And ultimately, Denise feels it's pointless. Like, she doesn't feel a relationship is going to do her any favors. And it really shows how much Denise has changed. I mean, you remember Denise at first was this doctor that didn't really know what she was doing, and now is completely different. Like, now she knows what she's doing. She is a legit doctor, and she does want to kill, and she is realizing what it means to survive, which is very interesting. I like the way they've played her character, I have to say. And even though they haven't shown a lot of her, they did do a good job with this. So she says not coming out here, facing her shit is bad. She says they are strong, smart, and really good people. And then she takes a crossbow, bolt right to the eye, goes down, and she's dead. It appears that she's dead, and Denise is killed off in this episode, which makes sense. I mean, she was getting so much development. She's not a main character, and when characters get a lot of development, that's usually when they die. So he turns his head. We see his ears severely scarred along with half his face, and Dwight is, of course, seems to be the one that killed her, and basically really crazy the way that was done. Definitely, obviously, really crazy, and Obviously Rosie and Daryl just want to take out these saviors because now they know they killed one of their own. They can take them out, and they take Rosie and Daryl's weapons, but they take their weapons before they can do anything. That's how dangerous these saviors really are. They know what they're gonna do. So Daryl says he should have killed him. Dwight agrees he probably should have and says the girl wasn't even the one he was aiming for, but the crossbow kicks like a bitch. And of course, we know that Dwight's not Negan, but he is working with Negan, and as we know from what the one girl said last week, that everyone's kind of like Negan, which is very interesting. And you really do start to see that here, that all these people really feel they have no emotions. They don't have any emotional attachments. They don't care what they do. As long as they win in the end, that's what matters to them. So Eugene notices Abraham's hiding nearby. Rosita asks what they want. He tells her his name, then asks hers. She says Rosita, then asks again what he wants. Dwight says it's not what he wants, but what they're going to do, and says she and Daryl are going to let them into their complex. He says otherwise he'll kill all three of them. He says no one else has to die, but they usually start with just one to get their point across. Eugene says if he wants to kill someone, start with the guy over behind the barrels, and says he's a first-class asshole who deserves it more than them. Dwight sends someone to check it out. The guy creeps closer, then Eugene bites Dwight's crotch when he looks away. Abram opens fire. Daryl stabs a guy. Rosita and Daryl grab guns. A fight ensues. Walkers are attracted by the noise, and this is just when the episode gets crazy. I mean, we really went from this low-key episode to a much bigger episode. And Dwight calls for the Saviors to fall back. They take off at a run. Daryl gets his crossbow, starts to run after him, but Rosita calls him back. Eugene was shot, and Rosita puts her hand over his wound. Abram runs to help, and of course, they don't have a doctor because Denise just died. This is literally the worst time for Denise to die because they can't help Eugene in any way. She was their living doctor, and now they need to do this on her own. So I'm like, oh shit, they're going to kill off Eugene, which would have made sense because they focused on him so much. But they lift Eugene, drag him away. Daryl looks at Denise's body. They have to leave her so they can save Eugene. Even though they don't want to, they have to. So we know she's going to be a walker at some point, and we know they'll have to kill her, which I think they're going to have Tara be the one to do that because it just seems like it'd be the most emotional thing to do, and I feel like that's what's going to happen. So back at Alexandria, looks like Eugene's patched up. Abraham comes in, says Rick is coming. Rosita says it looks like it grazed him and the antibiotics should help, and Eugene coughs and comes to. Luckily, he's alive. He didn't die in this episode, and kind of a cop-out, I will say. I understand they didn't want 2 deaths in one episode, but Eugene, I think, should have died. I really do. I think they had a great arc for him. They fleshed out his character really well, and the fact that he didn't survive, I don't really understand. So Eugene tells Abraham he wasn't trying to kill him, but was looking for a moment. Abraham says he found it. Eugene asks if he apologized for doubting his skills. Abraham says he apologized and says, you know how to bite a dick, and I say that with the utmost respect. And Abraham goes to see Sasha later, says that she heard. She asks if he's okay. He says she has choices too. Says it could be 30 years there, but that's still too short. She gets teary, asks him to come inside, and it seems like these two are actually going to get together. Like, she does seem to like him, and I like the way they're developing that. So Daryl goes back out to get Denise's body so he can bury her. He has the dentist keychain. It's a very effective scene because, of course, as we know, that was the thing that she cared the most about was Dennis, her brother, and basically buries that right next to her. Carol helps bury the doc. She looks at Daryl as he opens a tiny bottle of whiskey, drains it, then goes back to shoveling dirt on the grave. Carol says he was right. She knew it when he said it. The little Alexandrian graveyard is filling up, and Carol then leaves this letter for Tobin. And this is a very effective scene. As we know, Carol's really changed from her whole thing with the Saviors, and this really shows how much she's changing. She says they have so much there, people, food, medicine, walls, and says other people want it too, and that will never change. She says there will always be another threat. We see them all back on guard duty, pretty much doing what they were doing in the beginning of the episode. Carol writes that she loves them, but can't and won't kill for them, and she's just not going to do that. Even though she loves what they're doing, she's not going to kill, and that's really a big change for Carol. I mean, we remember a couple seasons ago, she would have killed, but now it seems like she's not going to because of the fact that these Saviors have really shown that she doesn't need to kill or survive, and that she just can't do it. And Rosita stands in for Eugene on guard duty. Carol says Rick sent her away and she was never going to come back, and she didn't plan on coming back. That was the thing. When he sent her away, she didn't want to come back, but she did, and she didn't want to come back, but she had to, and it's really crazy to see what's going on there. I like that she said point blank she didn't want to come back, but, she did, just because of the way things turned out. But if she could have, she would have just stayed, and probably would have been for the better. I mean, Lizzie probably wouldn't have ended up the way she would, things like that. But imagine what would have happened if Carol really did stay away. I think they really did, you really have to think about what would have happened if that was the last time we ever saw Carol, because she literally just said if she could have, she would have stayed away. but she says she can't love anyone because she can't kill for anyone. The RV pulls up beside the gate. She says she's going, asking to please not come after her, and that, they can't be together because she's not going to kill for him. And it's a really sad scene. You really do see that she's understanding the world more, but she's also realizing that she has to do this on her own. She's not going to kill for him. So Morgan then looks at two of the people bringing out the racks of guns. Morgan stares at the empty swing that Carol was on. I don't really know what the point of that was, why he's staring at the swing, but that's how the episode ends. Weird way to end the episode, definitely. I do think that was a weird way to end it, but of course, Morgan doesn't know what went down with Carol. He doesn't know about that, and that's the thing. Carol's hiding what went down between her and Maggie. I understand she's home, but she doesn't want anyone to really be concerned about her or anything, but she needs to come clean. She needs to. People are going to get suspicious. People are going to get worried, and she needs to admit what happened because obviously it was a very bad situation, and she needs to pretend, and, she needs to admit that it was really bad and just get over it because it's clearly affecting her in a big way. Now, we didn't really get to see Maggie's reaction, but I'm sure we'll see it in either next week's episode or the finale, but damn, was this a crazy episode. I mean, like I said, this really went from a low-key episode to a much crazier episode, and Denise's death, I thought, really affected me more than I thought it would. Denise, like I said, is not a main character, but they've really treated her like she was one. Here, she really felt like a fully fleshed-out character. We understood her arc, we understood her purpose, we understood what she was there, and she really did change. She did what they have to do. She realized she had to kill, and she died giving this great speech, and it was just too soon. It was too much, and she had to die, and I understand that. It showed that people need to start dying because the group is getting so big that they just had to kill some people off. But it didn't feel like they just killed off Denise to kill her off. It felt like she was killed at exactly the right time, and it made sense why they had to kill her off. Now, why they kept Eugene alive, I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on. We'll have to see. Rosita, I really do feel bad for her because I think she genuinely wants to be with Spencer, but she just doesn't really want commitment right now because of what happened with Abraham. And whenever she hears the name Abraham, obviously it makes her feel very ill, and you can tell that's what's going on. They're very interested in seeing what's going to happen with that. And then Eugene, I like the way they're writing him. I like the Eugene wants to kill. He wants to get on the action, and he doesn't just want to be the smart guy because he feels he can do a lot better than that. And I think it's really interesting the way they're writing that. But overall, guys, I know what you guys saw this episode. We have 2 episodes left. I can't wait to see the way things play out. You can definitely tell that Dwight is serving to be the main antagonist, but we know that Negan obviously is going to come in there. Dwight's going to report what they're doing. He's going to probably get them to Negan, and it's going to end up really bad for them. We'll have to see what happens there. Overall, guys, I know what you guys saw this episode. Love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Shameless, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.